Let's explain story structure with solo leveling. First, what is it about? In this world among the ordinary lives of common people, there are some dangerous dungeons that open from time to time, and they are filled with monsters. There are gates or portals that communicate other dimensions with this world, and they are a menace to the normal people. Fortunately for the ungrateful bastards, there are hunters, people crazy enough or talented enough that venture through those gates and defeat those monsters so they don't come to their world. Sung Shin Woo is one of those brave hunters, but a very weak one, an E rank. Actually, the weakest hunter of mankind. Why is he a hunter? From what we get from the prologue, he has to pay for his mother's hospital bills. It seems she's in some sort of coma, and the Hunters Association gives some financial aid to the hunters because they are risking their lives. So that's why he's doing this job. He doesn't even enjoy it. He's in constant fear for his life, but it's worth it because that way he can keep his mother alive. Unfortunately for him, it seems he dies. Why is this manga so good and why I couldn't stop reading it when I started? How can you write something so interesting, or at least try? How does solo leveling use change in story values to their advantage? Hello everyone, I am MG, and in this playlist we try to analyze other comics in order to improve our own stories, and let's just begin. It is obvious that this comic has a killer webcomic debut and a great prologue. What I want to go deep into is structure, a selection of events from the characters' life stories that are strategically organized by the author to manipulate the reader's feelings, or at least that's how I define it, and to express a certain view of life. Credit to Robert MCKEE, who explained all of this in a book called Story, but basically it means that you are not seeing Sung Shin Woo's I'm sorry for the pronunciation, but anyway, you're not seeing his morning routine, you're not seeing how he's brushing his teeth and making breakfast. No, you are literally going straight to the adventure, and they are choosing what events in the story of this character are interesting. Think about your own life. Chances are not all of it is that interesting, but there are points of your life that could make a movie. Let's start when the party prepares to enter into the dungeon, and it's a very easy dungeon, like there's not much danger, and that's why average or low class hunters go into that place, including our protagonist, Sung Shin Woo. He's not the only one doing this to support the family. Many honest yet generally average hunters go here. Sung Shin Woo, you see that he is denied coffee just because he arrived late. Others laugh at him, but without malice. They are actually happy to see him because him being there and him being so weak means that the dungeon will be easy and they can just do the job and go home. Sung also talks to the healer, who is very worried about him. He is quite weak, so he's really risking his life and the stakes are high for him, even though they aren't as much for the other people. Good thing the healer cares about this weak-ass hero. Mr. Song Shi-yul appoints himself as the leader of the party, of course with everyone's agreement. Everyone is relaxed and excited and they trust him because he's the most powerful hunter. We also have other couple of side characters like Mr. Lee and Mr. the other one. They all go into the gate hopeful, and it's a positive note for the end of episode 1. Because of the prologue though, we wonder and we suspect that everything is not going to be so happy as they appear. That helps a lot. I'm going to explain in a minute why, according to story structure. And then we get to episode 2, which starts on a positive note. And they did their thing, the raid is almost over, the monsters are dead. And then, by coincidence, they discover another door, another dungeon. Mr. Song Shi-yul, as the leader that everyone agreed on, asks everyone if they are willing to go into that double dungeon, as he states that it could be dangerous. So everyone has two options. Number 1 is ignore the double dungeon, get out of the place and inform the Hunters Association, the authorities. that there's a double dungeon and that hence the boss is not dead and someone else should take care of it. But what happens with that is that they do not get all the profit. Or number 2, risk it, go into that double dungeon, defeat the boss themselves and keep all the profits. And there's a vote and there's a tie. And the decisive vote is our protagonist. This is our hero's call to adventure, and obviously he says yes, even though the healer is not that happy about it. After a little while of walking through a very long hall, the party arrives to a room full of stone statues. Everything looks very eerie, and they start to chill around and see what's there. And it's until then that they see a set of rules by the main statue. And it is until then that the room locks them in and doesn't let them out. They really can't get out, even though some try unsuccessfully, because the statues punish them with death. Episode finishes on a negative note. Before we continue, do you start to see a pattern along the episodes we have seen? What are we analyzing? We mentioned structure as a set of events, but what's an event? An event is a meaningful change in the life situation of the characters, and it is arised by conflict. What do we mean with change? It's a change in story values. Basically, it's from positive to negative, and it can be depending on your story. And in solo leveling, is from life to death, confidence to shyness, cowardice, bravery, etc. Safety, risk. Let's see what we mean. An example of not an event is them discovering a double dungeon. Yes, there is a change in the scene in the sense that they are just victorious and they feel safe, so from safety to potential risk. There's a change, but remember that we said that an story event is arised by conflict. And they discovered this dungeon by coincidence, and there hasn't been really any conflict right now. So that's not an event. An example of an event is the following. Song Xing-woo notices before anyone else they have to duck down. Because he has been so close to losing his life, he is very fast at noticing danger, and that way is that he saves the people that listen to him on time, as the main statue blasted its laser beam onto everyone. An event is that Song Xing-woo goes from being that mistrusted, shy, unconfident kid that we saw at the beginning to being personally consulted by the leader of the party. His insight was very helpful. He starts to become confident of what he is thinking because the room is confirming what his theories are. And yes, he figures out they have to decipher the commandments in order to escape that place. Basically the set of rules the main statue has. Do you see this is an event? Even though they are in danger, episode 4 ends up in a positive note, in a hopeful note, because maybe Sung will figure something out. Sung tells everyone to kneel before the god, as the first commandment is you shall worship God. The mistrusted kid ends up leading everyone, even if only for a brief moment. It proves effective and they are safe now. We just witnessed a bit, an exchange of behavior through action-reaction. Bit by bit, these very small moments shape the turning of a scene. They are very small, but we'll see more examples in a minute. Little by little, those who were overconfident, those who were scared, those who tried to flee, everyone is dying, and despair sets in. We get to the third commandment, you shall prove your faith, and an altar rises in the middle of the room. The remaining members of the party are listening to our protagonist, as he is keeping his head rather calm. It seems that the room is asking for an offering. Beat. Action. Mr. Kim, the coward, tells Mr. Song Shi-yul, the leader, that even if he lost his arm, He should offer himself as a sacrificial offering to the god. We see from Mr. Kim's attitude that he clearly blames the leader for everyone dying, even though it was something that was casted to a vote and he even voted yes, but whatever. He's not responsible for his own actions like any coward. Reaction is that Mr. Song, feeling guilty, walks to the altar himself. Now, after some moments that I am skipping right now, everyone is gathered by the altar, and it is clear that as long as there's someone in the altar, everyone else can leave. Some people flee, they take that chance, of course, they are thinking of themselves and not their party members. I don't know, that's where you see the true character of people. So only 3 people remain in the altar: the healer, Mr. Song, and our protagonist, Sung. Our hero can no longer walk by himself as he has lost a leg. They are time constrained by the blue flames, which are like a timer as they are turning off little by little, and as each flame goes off, each statue approaches more and more to the altar with the intention of killing them. Next, I am going to see it as we care about our protagonist, so that's how I'm going to organize it. Beat, positive. Action. Mr. Song tells the healer to help our hero to get out of the dungeon. Meanwhile, the leader will stay. Reaction. She quickly agrees as she proceeds to stand up and help. Beat, negative. Action. But the healer can't stand up. Her legs fail her because of her mental state. There's no time. Reaction. Our hero tells Mr. Shiyul to take the healer and leave. It has become clear that the only one that can walk and help at least one of the 2 people with injured legs is Mr. Song. He cannot be the one that stays. He has to leave with one of them. If more people hope to live, that is. Even though the healer starts to complain, Mr. Song knocks her out, and it's easy because of her mental state, I guess. The leader says goodbye to Sung, and Sung prepares to die as the statues proceed to approach him. Beat, negative. Action. The statue stabs Sung. Reaction, Sung is dying. Beat, positive. It's going to be a change. Action. Sung regrets everything. He wants to leave. He is happy the others lived, but come on, he wants to live too. He asks no one for one more chance. And reaction, a banner appears before him. Beat, positive. Action, the banner asks him if he wants to become a player and live. Reaction, he says yes. Our episode 10 ends with a flash. Our values are changed. Our story values are changed. The structure that the authors put in place worked. All those events and beats have us on edge. We're missing so much more on story structure, on how to make characters, etc. So subscribe to this channel in case you want more videos just like this one. Would you like me to cover another webtoon or manga that you love? Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and thank you to the sponsor of this video. This video is sponsored by ISHAN Comics. He's a writer with several works under his belt. I am actually working on a comic written by him called Lakshmi Bai about the famous woman who fought for India. Check him out, enjoy his stories, and let's go back to it. You know what to do: like, comment, subscribe, check my comics if you want to, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!